Leo stared out of the small spaceship window, his heart beating faster with every passing moment. The planet below shimmered in bright green and blue hues like a jewel in the endless black of space. He had never seen anything like it. Zythera, the home of the alien queen Solara, was about to become his new school, his new home, and maybe the center of an adventure he could never have imagined. At 12 years old, Leo was the youngest human ever sent as an ambassador to an alien world. Other humans had visited planets, negotiated trades, and signed treaties. But never before had one of them been this young. For Leo, the mission was exciting, terrifying, and full of unknowns. The spaceship landed gently on a platform that floated above the glowing oceans. Stepping outside, Leo saw Zytherans for the first time. They were tall, elegant beings with multiple limbs, shimmering skin that reflected the colors of their surroundings, and eyes that seemed to glow with intelligence. They moved gracefully as if every motion was carefully thought out. A Zytheran with 4 arms stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Welcome, young human," the alien said. Its voice was melodic, almost musical, and it echoed softly in the air around them. "You honor our world with your presence," Leo nodded shyly. "Thank you, sir, ma'am," he asked, unsure of the proper way to address them. The Zytheran tilted its head, a small gesture that Leo thought looked like curiosity. "You will learn," it said simply. Then it gestured for him to follow. They walked through a series of shimmering halls filled with colors and lights that seemed alive. Statues of historical Zytherans lined the corridors, each more intricate than the last. Leo tried not to stare too long. Everything here felt magical. Finally, they arrived at a large hall open to the sky. Floating platforms held water gardens and glowing plants. At the center of the room stood Queen Solara. She was taller than any Zytheran Leo had seen, her skin a brilliant silver and her multiple arms adorned with delicate jewelry. Her eyes seemed to look right through him, but not in a scary way, more like she was trying to understand him completely. "Ah," she said, her voice ringing like a bell. "The youngest human ambassador has arrived." Leo swallowed hard. All the Zytherans in the hall were now looking at him. Some whispered among themselves. He felt his cheeks warm. Queen Solara smiled faintly. "Do not be afraid, child. You are here to learn, and we are here to teach. But first..." She raised one arm, and suddenly a young Zytheran boy appeared, crying softly. Leo noticed that the boy's eyes were bright but watery, and his tiny limbs trembled. Something about him tugged at Leo's heart. Without thinking, Leo stepped forward. "Hey, it's okay," Leo said, trying to sound gentle. He crouched slightly, making himself smaller and less threatening. "I'm Leo, I'm your friend." The boy sniffled and looked at him with wide eyes. Suddenly, Leo felt something strange. A warmth filled his chest, spreading to his hands and head. He could almost sense the boy's feelings: fear, sadness, worry. It was all there, floating around the boy like a cloud. Leo reached out, not touching, just focusing. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe. I won't hurt you." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the boy's trembling slowed. His tears dried. He stepped closer to Leo, finally offering a small, trusting smile. The hall fell silent. Queen Solara's eyes widened slightly, and the murmurs among the Zytherans grew louder. One of the advisors stepped forward, speaking rapidly in a language Leo didn't understand. But from their gestures and tone, it was clear they were astonished. Leo didn't know why, but he felt a strange pride in himself. He had helped, and somehow it mattered. Queen Solara raised her hand, and the hall quieted instantly. "This child," she said slowly, her eyes still on Leo, "possesses a gift our kind has awaited for centuries." Leo blinked. "Gift?" he asked. "Yes," she said, smiling faintly. "A rare human ability to feel, to connect, and to calm even the most troubled heart. You have done what few Zytherans could achieve." Leo swallowed. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt small, scared, and very, very far from home. Queen Solara stepped closer, her multiple arms moving with grace. "And so," she said, her voice firm but not frightening, "I declare, he will be mine." The hall gasped. Leo froze. His stomach felt tight. "Mine?" he whispered. "You are not owned," Queen Solara clarified, noticing his reaction. "It is a bond, a connection. You will be under my guidance to learn and to grow. Our world will share its knowledge with you, and in return you will teach us about your people." Leo's head spun. Bond guidance? Teach? Learn? He didn't know what to say. The young Zithran boy from earlier tugged at his hand. Leo knelt down again. "Don't worry," he whispered. "I guess we're both going to learn a lot here." Queen Solara studied him, then nodded. "Yes, very much." Over the next hour, humans and Zithrans alike crowded around, curious about the youngest human. Some whispered excitedly, pointing at him. Others bowed in respect. Leo felt overwhelmed, but also a little proud. Somehow he had impressed the most powerful being on the planet without even trying. An advisor handed Leo a small tablet, glowing faintly with information. "This will help you learn our language faster," the advisor explained, "and instructions for living in the palace." Leo took it carefully. Everything was moving so fast. He thought of his parents back on Earth, of his school, of his friends. He wished they could see him now. Not just Leo, the kid who could barely ride a bike, but Leo, the human chosen by the Zithran queen. The rest of the day was a whirlwind. He was shown his living quarters, a room that floated slightly above the palace floor, filled with soft light and gentle hums. He was introduced to other young Zithrans who were curious but friendly. He tried the food, which was sweet, savory, and occasionally a little crunchy in unexpected ways. He laughed at the noises he made while tasting it. At night, Leo lay on his floating bed, staring at the ceiling that shimmered like the surface of water. He thought about what Queen Solara had said. "He will be mine." That sounded scary at first, but now he understood. He wasn't being taken. He was being welcomed into a world bigger than anything he had known. Somewhere in the palace, the young Zithran boy whispered, "Thank you." Leo smiled in the dark. "No, thank you," he whispered back, and for the first time since he arrived, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he belonged. The stars outside glimmered in the endless sky, and Leo's heart was full of wonder. Tomorrow he would meet the queen again and begin the lessons that could change the future. Not just for him, but for all humans and Zithrans. For now, he closed his eyes, letting the strange, beautiful world of Zithra lull him to sleep, dreaming of adventures that only the youngest human could imagine. The next morning, Leo awoke to the soft hum of his floating bed. Sunlight filtered through the shimmering ceiling, turning the room into a kaleidoscope of colors. He stretched, feeling both nervous and excited. Today, Queen Solara had promised to begin his lessons. He had no idea what that would mean, but he knew it would be the start of something big. When he stepped out of his room, the palace seemed even more alive than yesterday. The water gardens glowed with a gentle light, and floating platforms carried glowing flowers and small creatures that Leo had never seen before. Zithrans moved gracefully around the halls, their limbs and gestures perfectly coordinated, as if they were all part of a dance. A young Zithran girl with 4 arms approached him, smiling. "Good morning, Leo," she said. "I am Nira. You will join us today." Leo nodded shyly. "Good morning, Nira. What are we doing today?" "You will meet the queen soon," Nira replied. "She wishes to begin your lessons in Zithran knowledge." Leo followed her through twisting corridors and floating staircases, marveling at every detail. The palace felt alive, like it had its own personality. Statues seemed to shimmer as he passed, and walls glowed faintly in response to his footsteps. Finally, they arrived at a large chamber. Queen Solara was waiting, standing beside a table covered with glowing holographic images of stars, planets, and strange symbols. She turned to Leo, her eyes bright and curious. "Leo," she said warmly, "today we begin your education in Zithran ways. But do not be afraid. Our lessons are not only about knowledge, they are about understanding." Leo swallowed hard. "Understanding? Of Zithrans?" "Of everything," she replied with a small smile. "Your human ways are different, but that is why you are here, to learn and to teach in return. Come." She guided him to the table. As Leo leaned closer, the holograms shifted and moved in intricate patterns. Some looked like star maps, others like strange mathematical symbols, and some looked like miniature cities suspended in light. "This," Queen Solara explained, "is our history, our technology, and our art. We do not separate them the way humans often do. Here all knowledge is connected." Leo's eyes widened. It's beautiful." "Yes," Solara said, "but also complex. You will learn at your own pace, but you must be curious, brave, and patient." The queen raised one arm and a small glowing orb floated toward Leo. "This is a thought orb," she explained. It will help you focus your mind and understand our language faster. Place your hand near it. Leo did as he was told. The orb glowed brighter and hummed softly. A strange sensation ran through him, a feeling of calm and clarity. He realized he could understand some of the symbols and words that had seemed impossible just moments before. "It is working," he whispered. Queen Solara nodded. "Yes, it is a tool, but the true gift is inside you. Your human mind can learn and adapt in ways even we cannot predict." Leo felt a surge of pride. Maybe he could do this. Maybe he could live up to the Queen's expectations. After the lesson, Nira led Leo through the palace gardens. The gardens were vast, stretching far beyond the floating platforms he had seen before. Strange flowers pulsed with light, tiny creatures flitted between leaves, and streams of glowing water ran along invisible channels. "This is where young Zytherans play and learn," Nira explained. "We do not separate learning from life. Even games teach wisdom and cooperation." Leo watched as a group of Zytheran children played a game that looked like a mix of tag and a puzzle. Their bodies moved in complicated patterns, yet each action seemed to serve a purpose. The children laughed, but their eyes were sharp and alert. "Would you like to try?" Nira asked, tilting her head. Leo hesitated. He was clumsy and small compared to them. But he nodded. "Okay, I'll try." The game began. At first, Leo stumbled, nearly tripping over the glowing paths. But as he watched the others, he began to understand the rhythm. He learned to anticipate their movements, to think ahead, and soon he was running, jumping, and solving the puzzles alongside them. The children cheered. Leo grinned. "I did it!" he exclaimed, breathless. "You have the gift of observation, human," Nira said, smiling. "That is why the Queen is interested in you. You see things we may overlook." Leo felt a warm glow inside. Maybe this was why he had been chosen. Not because he was older, stronger, or smarter than anyone else, but because he could look at the world differently. After the games, Queen Solara called him back to the chamber. "You have done well today, Leo," she said. "Your curiosity and courage are already visible. But there is more to learn. Zytherans value creativity as much as knowledge. You will practice creating solutions using both logic and imagination." She handed him a small cube, no bigger than his fist. Its surfaces shifted and shimmered with light. "This is a puzzle. Solve it using any method you choose. It is not merely a test of intelligence, but of perception and creativity." Leo examined the cube. It moved in ways he had never seen before. Shapes shifted, symbols changed, and patterns reformed constantly. At first he felt frustrated. But then he remembered what Nira had said. "Observe carefully and learn from what you see." Slowly, Leo began to notice patterns. He tried different approaches, tested ideas, and even laughed when the cube surprised him with new formations. Hours passed, but Leo didn't mind. He was fully immersed, learning not only how the puzzle worked, but also how his own mind could adapt to new ways of thinking. Finally, the cube settled into a perfect shape, glowing softly. Queen Solara clapped one of her hands. "Excellent, Leo. You have succeeded not by force or speed, but by creativity and patience. These are the qualities we value most," Leo beamed. He felt proud and energized. Maybe, just maybe, he could belong here after all. Over the next few days, Leo's routine settled into a rhythm. Mornings were spent in lessons with the Queen, learning about Zytheran language, history, and technology. Afternoons were spent in the gardens or playing games with the children. Evenings were filled with quiet reflection, sometimes using the thought orb to review the day's lessons. He began to notice little things about the Zytherans that fascinated him. How they communicated without words sometimes, using subtle gestures or pulses of light. How their technology seemed almost alive, responding to emotion and intent. How they valued kindness, creativity, and teamwork above all else. One afternoon, Leo discovered a small problem. A floating water garden was wilting, and the creatures that lived there seemed restless. Leo studied the plants carefully and remembered a technique he had seen on Earth, adjusting water flow and light exposure. He tried it carefully, and slowly the garden began to recover. The creatures chirped happily, the plants glowed stronger, and even Queen Solara noticed. "You have done well," she said, observing him. "You see solutions where others may see obstacles." "That is a rare gift," Leo smiled shyly. "I'm just trying to help." "No," she said softly. "You are doing more than that. You are showing that humans and Zytherans can learn from each other. That evening, Leo sat on his floating bed, thinking about everything he had learned. He thought about Earth, about his parents, about the human friends he had left behind. And he thought about Zithera, about the queen, the children, the gardens, and the puzzles. He realized that this was only the beginning. There were mysteries to solve, knowledge to gain, and friendships to build. And somehow he felt ready. As he drifted to sleep, the stars outside twinkled like a promise. Tomorrow would bring more lessons, more adventures, and perhaps new challenges. But Leo knew one thing for certain. He was no longer just a human child on a strange planet. He was part of something greater, a bridge between worlds, chosen not because of strength or age, but because of his heart, his mind, and his courage to try. Leo awoke to a soft glow spilling into his room. Today was unlike any other. The queen had summoned him early, and there was an air of excitement that buzzed even through the palace walls. He dressed quickly, eager and nervous at the same time. Today, he would face a challenge unlike anything he had experienced on Zithera or anywhere else in the galaxy. When he entered the hall, Nira and a few other young Zitherans were already waiting, their eyes wide with anticipation. Queen Solara stood at the center, her arms folded gracefully. "Leo," she said, her melodic voice calm but firm, "you are about to participate in a contest that will test your mind, your creativity, and your ability to work with others. This is the Interstellar Intelligence Contest, a tradition among our neighboring worlds." Leo blinked. "Contest?" he asked. "Like a game?" "Yes," the queen said with a small smile. "But more than a game. It is a test of knowledge, problem-solving, and diplomacy. The Volari, our neighboring species, have challenged us. They wish to see which species can approach problems most cleverly." Leo's stomach tightened. He had read about contests in books on Earth, chess competitions, math challenges, but this was on a level he had never imagined. And the stakes were high, not for fame or money, but for the reputation of Zithera and humans alike. Nira leaned toward him. "Don't worry, Leo," she whispered. "You are here because the Queen believes in you. We will help you." Leo nodded, trying to calm himself. He thought about the cube puzzle he had solved yesterday, and the gardens he had helped restore. Maybe he could do this too. The contestants were gathered in a large, circular chamber. Holographic platforms floated in the air, each showing symbols, puzzles, and strange alien devices. Zitherans, Volari, and a few other species from distant worlds formed groups, each preparing for the challenge. Leo felt small as he looked around. The Volari were taller than the Zitherans, with sleek, reflective skin and multiple eyes that scanned everything around them. They moved with precision, clearly confident in their abilities. Some of the other species whispered, clearly curious about the youngest human joining the contest. Queen Solara placed a gentle hand on Leo's shoulder. "Remember," she said, "this is not only about winning. It is about showing what humans can contribute. Trust your mind, your instincts, and your creativity." The contest began. A holographic voice filled the chamber. "Contestants, your first task is a puzzle of logic and coordination. You must arrange these symbols in the correct sequence to unlock the pattern." Leo stared at the floating symbols. They shifted and moved in ways that defied gravity and expectation. At first he felt panic rise, but then he remembered the advice of Nira and the Queen. Observe, think, and adapt. He leaned closer, noticing subtle patterns in the way the symbols moved. Some rotated slightly, others glowed faintly at intervals. Leo realized that the puzzle wasn't about rushing. It was about timing and observation. Slowly, carefully, he began moving the symbols, testing different sequences. Every time one clicked into place, the cube in his hand, a small replica of the palace puzzle, vibrated softly, a signal that he was on the right track. Minutes passed, but Leo didn't feel the pressure. He focused entirely on the puzzle, letting his human creativity guide him. Soon the pattern completed itself and a soft chime signaled success. The Volari and other species turned to look at him. One of the Volari whispered to another, "The human child. He solved it differently than any of us." Leo felt a small thrill. Maybe being human gave him an advantage after all. The next task was more complicated. The contestants were presented with a series of challenges that combined logic, creativity, and teamwork. Some required building small devices from unfamiliar materials. Others required negotiating or solving conflicts between simulated alien civilizations. Leo watched carefully. He realized that the Zitherans and Valari often approached problems methodically, analyzing each piece of information before acting. But sometimes they hesitated, unsure of which path to take. Leo had an idea. He combined his observations with creativity, sometimes suggesting solutions the aliens had not considered. For instance, when one task required rerouting energy between floating platforms, Leo proposed using the reflections from the glowing walls, something no one had thought of. It worked perfectly, and the panel of observers recorded his solution with approval. By midday, Leo had gained the attention of all the judges. His methods were unconventional, human in their simplicity and ingenuity. He didn't rely on speed or raw calculation. He relied on intuition, empathy, and observation. During a short break, Nira approached him. "Leo," she said, "they are amazed at you. I've never seen anyone, Zitheran or otherwise, solve the puzzles like you do." Leo shook his head. "I'm just trying to see what works. I don't want to make mistakes," Nira smiled. "Mistakes are part of learning. But you are teaching everyone something important. Humans think differently, and that can be a strength." The final challenge arrived in the late afternoon. It was a simulated diplomatic negotiation. The contestants had to represent their species, mediating a dispute over resources on a distant planet. It was delicate work requiring tact, creativity, and understanding of alien cultures. Leo felt nervous. He had never negotiated with aliens before, but as he observed, he noticed something fascinating. All the species shared one thing. They valued fairness, respect, and reason. He realized that humans shared these qualities too, if expressed thoughtfully. When it was his turn, Leo spoke calmly and clearly. "What if we try to find a solution that benefits both sides equally?" He suggested. "We can combine resources, share knowledge, and create a plan that helps everyone." The other species paused, clearly considering his words. Slowly, the Valari representative nodded. "A new approach," it said, "but it has merit." The holographic simulation responded to Leo's solution, showing a balanced outcome. Cheers erupted among the spectators. Even Queen Solara's eyes gleamed with pride. At the end of the contest, judges announced the results. Zithera had succeeded, and Leo's contributions had been highlighted as crucial to the success. His human perspective had turned challenges into opportunities that no alien alone could have achieved. Queen Solara approached him, her multiple arms gracefully folded. "Leo," she said, "today you have shown that even the youngest human can make a difference. Your creativity, your courage, and your empathy have impressed not only us but the neighboring species. You have honored your people and ours." Leo felt a flush of pride. I just tried my best," he said softly. "Your best," the Queen replied, "is extraordinary. Never forget that the value of a human mind is not only in strength or speed, but in imagination, kindness, and the ability to see solutions where others see problems." As the sun set on Zithera, casting the palace in warm colors, Leo walked through the gardens with Nira. He thought about the day's challenges, the strange puzzles, and the alien negotiation simulations. For the first time, he realized that being human, different, small, young, was not a weakness. It was a gift. "You really impressed everyone today," Nira said. "Even the Valari were surprised." Leo shrugged. "I guess. Humans just think differently. Maybe that's all it is." "No," Nira said firmly. "It's more than that. You showed that cooperation and creativity can change outcomes. You made everyone see that we can do more if we listen to each other, even across species." Leo smiled. The weight of the Queen's proclamation, "He will be mine," suddenly felt less frightening. It wasn't about possession or control. It was about guidance, opportunity, and the chance to bridge worlds. That evening, as Leo lay in his floating bed, he looked out at the stars. Each twinkle reminded him of the infinite possibilities in the galaxy. Today, he had faced creatures more intelligent, more experienced, and more confident than himself, and he had not only survived, he had contributed in a meaningful way. Somewhere far away, Valari ships would be reporting on the unexpected human genius. Back on Earth, no one could have imagined that a 12-year-old child would have shown aliens a new way to think. And Leo, the youngest human ambassador, realized that the galaxy was full of challenges, but also full of opportunities. For the first time, he felt that maybe, just maybe, Humans truly belonged among the stars. The palace glowed softly around him as he drifted into sleep, dreaming of puzzles yet unsolved, worlds yet to explore, and friendships yet to be made. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and more adventures. But tonight he had proven that even the smallest human could make a big difference. The morning sun painted the palace gardens in soft shades of gold. Leo stretched, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was not about lessons from Queen Solara or solving puzzles. Today he would spend time learning Zitharan culture directly from the young Zitharans themselves, and perhaps teach them something about humans too. Nira was waiting at the garden entrance, a smile on her face. "Good morning, Leo," she said. "Today you will join our circle. We share, we create, and we learn from one another. It is time for you to teach as well as to learn." Leo blinked. "Teach me? I'm just a kid." Nira's multiple eyes twinkled. "You are human. That is enough. Humans see the world differently. That is valuable. Come." As they walked, Leo noticed the other Zitharan children already gathered near a pool of softly glowing water. Some were shaping light into small animals. Others were arranging floating crystals into intricate patterns. Everything the children did seemed like a mix of art, science, and play. Leo's heart pounded. How could he, a human, possibly fit in here? Nira nudged him gently. "Start small. Show them what humans do." Leo took a deep breath. "Okay," he said, then held up a small device from Earth, a simple music player. The Zitharans looked curious. He pressed a button and a soft melody filled the air. The light around the pool pulsed gently in response to the music. The Zitharan children tilted their heads. Some touched the music player, fascinated by the human technology. Leo smiled. "On Earth we make music like this. We also make games, stories, and inventions. Maybe I can show you some." One of the children, a small Zitharan named Lyra, approached cautiously. "Music responds to you?" she asked, her forearms making delicate gestures in the air. "Yes," Leo said. "We humans create patterns and sounds to express feelings. Music helps us connect even without words." The children began experimenting with the device. Leo taught them how to play simple tunes, and soon the pool reflected the melodies with shimmering colors. Laughing, the Zitharans tried to make new patterns, blending their light manipulation skills with the music. "You see?" Leo said, grinning. "Humans and Zitharans together can make something new." Nira clapped softly. "Excellent, Leo. You are teaching by example. That is very human and very wise." After the music, Leo introduced a simple game from Earth called Tag with Ideas. The children were puzzled at first, but once he explained, they began running across the floating platforms, tagging one another while sharing a small fact or invention each time they were tagged. Leo laughed as he chased Lyra, who darted effortlessly with 4 limbs. Though he stumbled occasionally, he quickly adapted. Soon everyone was laughing and learning, and even the queen watched from a distance, a faint smile on her face. During a pause, Lyra approached Leo. "You are clever human, different from us. But we like different." "It is exciting," Leo felt his chest warm. "Thanks, Lyra, I like different too. I like learning from you." The afternoon brought a new activity. Queen Solara had arranged a project for the children, building a small model of a distant planet using Zitharan technology and human creativity. Leo was paired with Lyra and Nira. The materials were fascinating. Floating crystals, glowing water streams, and small light filaments could be shaped with thought and movement. Leo had never seen anything like it, but he remembered how he had solved puzzles before. Observation, patience, and creativity. Together they began to construct the model. Leo suggested adding moving streams of light to represent rivers. Lyra shaped floating crystals into mountains while Nira created glowing vegetation. Leo added small touches from human imagination, a tiny device that rotated slowly, reflecting light like a miniature sun. By evening, the model was complete. It was not only accurate but beautiful, a true blend of human and Zitharan creativity. The queen examined it, her glowing eyes wide with appreciation. "This is remarkable," she said. "Humans and Zitharans working together have created something new, something neither could do alone." "Leo, your influence is clear," Leo blushed. "I just wanted to help." "You did more than help," Nira said. "You showed us how to think differently, how to combine ideas. That is a gift humans have." After the project, Leo and the children rested near the pool. Leo shared small stories from Earth, of forests, oceans, cities, and festivals. The children listened, fascinated, asking endless questions. In return, they shared tales of Zithera, the glowing oceans, the sky patterns, and ancient customs that Leo had never heard of. As night fell, the palace glowed with gentle light. The queen approached Leo once again. "You have done well today," she said softly. "Friendship is a powerful tool. Humans have a unique ability to connect with others, to see beyond differences. Today you have built bridges between worlds, between hearts." Leo looked at the queen, still feeling small but proud. I never thought I could make a difference," he admitted. "You already have," she replied. "Not with strength or force, but with your mind and your heart. That is why I declared you mine. It is not ownership. It is trust, guidance, and belief that you can shape the future." Leo smiled. That phrase, "he will be mine," no longer felt frightening. It was a promise, a challenge, and an honor all at once. In the following days, Leo continued to spend time with the children, teaching small earth games, sharing simple tools, and learning Zitheran arts in return. He discovered that Zitherans were quick learners but also appreciated the human touch, the randomness, the humor, and the creativity that came naturally to him. One afternoon, Leo noticed a small Zitheran child struggling to communicate with others. He knelt beside the child and gently guided them through gestures and sounds, combining human empathy with Zitheran understanding. Slowly, the child began to participate in games and conversations. Queen Solara, observing from a distance, whispered to an advisor, "Humans may be small, but they carry hearts capable of uniting worlds." Leo realized that this was the true lesson. Humans had value not because of size or power, but because of their ability to connect, to teach, and to inspire. As the sun set on Zithera, casting long shadows across the floating gardens, Leo sat with Nira and Lyra, watching glowing fish swim through streams of light. "I never imagined life could be like this," he said softly. "It is only the beginning," Nira replied. "There is much more to learn, much more to create, and humans have so much to offer." Leo looked at the stars above, reflecting on everything he had experienced. From the Queen's proclamation to today's projects and games, he understood that his role was bigger than he had imagined. He was not just a visitor. He was a bridge, a connector, a teacher, and a learner. And somewhere in the palace, Queen Solara watched over him, confident that the youngest human was not only adapting to Zithera, but also helping Zitherans see the value of humans, creativity, empathy, and the power of friendship. Leo smiled, a sense of purpose filling his heart. Tomorrow, there would be new lessons, new challenges, and new opportunities to build understanding across worlds. But tonight he was content, surrounded by friends, laughter, and the glow of a shared, bright future. As he drifted to sleep, Leo realized that the galaxy was not just a place of distant stars and unknown species. It was a place where differences could become strengths, where friendship could cross worlds, and where even the youngest human could leave a lasting mark. The morning sun on Zithera was soft and warm, casting golden streaks over the floating gardens. Leo awoke with a sense of excitement he could hardly describe. Today was different. Today, he would complete his journey here, take the lessons he had learned, and prepare to return to Earth. He dressed quickly, his mind buzzing with thoughts. From the moment he arrived, life had been full of surprises, challenges, and friendships. He had met Queen Solara, learned the ways of the Zitherans, participated in the interstellar intelligence contest, and taught and learned alongside the young Zitherans. Every day had taught him something new about the universe and about himself. Nira was waiting for him outside his quarters. "Good morning, Leo," she said with a smile. "The Queen awaits you in the council hall." Leo nodded, feeling a mix of pride and nervousness. He had learned much, but the thought of leaving this incredible world made his stomach twist. Still, he knew he carried something far more important than sadness: understanding, friendship, and hope. The council hall was filled with glowing orbs, floating tables, and holographic displays. Queen Solara stood at the center, her silver skin gleaming in the morning light. Other Zitheran leaders, as well as a few representatives from distant worlds, were present. All eyes turned to Leo as he entered. "Leo," Queen Solara said warmly, "today marks not an ending, but a beginning. You have learned our ways, shared your own, and shown that humans can bring new ideas, creativity, and empathy to the galaxy. Today, we honor you." Leo felt his heart beat faster. "Me?" he whispered, hardly believing it. "Yes, you," the Queen replied. "You are no longer just the youngest human ambassador. You are a symbol of cooperation, understanding, and the potential of your people." The council members nodded in agreement. One of them floated forward, presenting a small glowing medallion. "This," the council member said, "is the Medal of Interstellar Friendship. It is awarded to those who bridge worlds, inspire cooperation, and show extraordinary understanding." Leo took the medallion carefully. It glowed warmly in his hands. He felt proud but also humbled. He had not expected anything like this. After the ceremony, Queen Solara led Leo to the palace gardens. The young Zitherans were waiting, and the glowing water pools reflected their excited faces. Lyra ran to him, her multiple arms waving. "Leo," she exclaimed. "You are leaving?" Leo knelt down. "Yes, Lyra. But I will never forget you or all the things I've learned here. And I hope humans and Zitherans will meet again soon." The children clustered around, giving him small gifts, glowing crystals, tiny devices, and even handmade models of their floating gardens. Leo accepted each one with care, understanding the thought and effort behind them. Queen Solara approached. "Leo, before you leave, there is one final lesson," she said softly. "It is not about puzzles, music, or games. It is about the future. You have the ability to inspire humans to reach out, to collaborate, and to see themselves as part of something greater. The galaxy is vast and many species will doubt humans, but you have shown today that humans are capable of kindness, creativity, and understanding. That is the greatest gift you can take back to your world." Leo nodded solemnly. He felt the weight of her words, but also the excitement of possibility. He thought about Earth, his parents, his friends, and the many humans who might one day look to the stars and wonder what lay beyond. As preparations for his departure began, Leo explored the palace one last time. He visited the floating gardens, the holographic chambers, and the workshops where Zitharan children created incredible inventions. Everywhere he looked, he saw evidence of knowledge, creativity, and curiosity, the same qualities he had learned to value in himself. At the launch platform, the spaceship waited. It gleamed under the Zitharan sky, ready to carry him home. He waved goodbye to Nira, Lyra, and the other children. "Goodbye," he said softly. "Thank you for everything." "You are always welcome here, Leo," Nira said. "Remember, friendship can cross any distance." Leo stepped onto the spaceship. As it lifted off, he looked down at Zithara, the glowing gardens shrinking beneath him. Queen Solara stood on a floating platform, her arms raised in farewell. "May your journey bring humans and Zitharans together," she called. Leo smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. He was no longer just a human child from Earth. He was a bridge between worlds, carrying knowledge, empathy, and hope across the stars. The journey through space was smooth. Leo spent time reviewing everything he had learned: the Zitharan language, their technology, and most importantly, the lessons of cooperation, creativity, and friendship. He realized that humans had much to offer the galaxy, not just in terms of technology or strength, but through ideas, understanding, and the ability to connect with others. When he finally approached Earth, he saw familiar landscapes below: cities, forests, oceans, and mountains. But something had changed. Leo looked at his world with new eyes. He saw possibilities for learning, sharing, and connecting that he had never noticed before. He thought about the Zitharans, the children, and Queen Solara. They had trusted him, valued him, and shown him that even a young human could make a difference. Back on Earth, his parents were waiting, worry and relief on their faces. They hugged him tightly, asking endless questions. Leo smiled, sharing stories of the glowing gardens, the puzzles, and the music of Zithara. But he also spoke of the deeper lessons: the importance of curiosity, kindness, and seeing the value in every being, no matter how different. In the weeks that followed, Leo began sharing his experiences with others. Scientists, teachers, and even government officials listened, amazed by his stories. He showed them the simple games, the music, and the puzzles. But more importantly, he taught the lessons of empathy and collaboration. Humans began to see themselves not just as inhabitants of Earth, but as part of a greater, interconnected universe. Word spread quickly. Humans started to take interest in interstellar collaboration. Inspired by Leo's experiences, they reached out to Zythera, establishing communication, cultural exchanges, and learning opportunities. Schools began teaching about Zytheran culture, and young humans dreamed of one day traveling to distant planets to learn and share. Leo continued to grow, never forgetting the lessons of Zythera. He knew he had been given a rare opportunity to see another world, to learn its ways, and to bring that knowledge back to his own. But he also knew that the greatest lesson was about human potential. Even the smallest, youngest human could inspire change, bridge cultures, and make the galaxy a better place. One evening, Leo stood on a hill overlooking Earth's oceans, the sky painted in hues of pink and orange. He thought of Zythera, the glowing gardens, and Queen Solara's words. "The galaxy is vast," she had said, "and many species will doubt humans. But you have shown today that humans are capable of kindness, creativity, and understanding." Leo smiled. He knew it was true. Humans were small compared to the stars, but they carried something extraordinary inside them. The ability to imagine, to empathize, and to build connections across planets, species, and worlds, and somewhere far away. On the shimmering planet of Zythera, Queen Solara looked up at the stars, confident that the youngest human had begun a new era. An era where humans were not just inhabitants of Earth, but citizens of the galaxy, capable of great things through curiosity, kindness, and friendship. Leo turned back to the horizon, the wind brushing against his face. A new journey awaited him, not just across the stars, but within humanity itself. He carried with him the lessons of Zythera, the friendships he had formed, and the knowledge that one young human could indeed make a difference.